Live tonight from the virtual Eldora Speedway, the Joe Gibbs Racing Off-Season Action Series returns to the third race on this virtual esports NASCAR season on the iRacing.com simulator as we go racing for 125 laps in tonight's JGR 125 presented by Sim 500 from the Big E. Happy that you're with us tonight, as always, on RaceSpotTV and the Joe Gibbs Racing Facebook page. Myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside with Randy Cheneth on the call, accompanied by Hugo Louise downstairs. And Randy, third race on the season, our only Wednesday night race on this 2017-18 campaign. So we're happy that everybody is with us. We hope everybody had a good break for Christmas and New Year's. We will be back with our regularly scheduled programming per se on Sundays, beginning this upcoming Sunday the 7th and there on the therefore. But it is a dirt special here on a Wednesday night from Eldora.
Yeah, the only time we're running on Wednesday night and the only time we're taking these trucks off of the asphalt and throwing them onto dirt, and this is going to be an exciting one. There's some talented dirt guys up and down this field, and it's going to be going to be a unique race, isn't it? The highest banked short track we're going to run, half miler, only one running off dirt. I'm sure that top line is going to be strong in these trucks, but this should put on a good show.
And well, yes, we've kept things on the asphalt up until this point. It has been a fun opening weeks of action. Feels like it's been a while since we've been here, since the opening couple of weeks of December, when we raced at Rockingham and then IRP. You know, those are two very different racetracks, but kind of on the older side of things. And we had an opportunity to get a look at a couple of different cars as well in those first 2 weeks. But it was Tyler Hudson, the NASCAR iRacing champion from a couple of years ago, who took home both the wins in that one. And he does look fast in tonight's practice session as well. In fact, drivers are just now starting their qualifying session. Everybody's going to get 2 laps to try to put down their best time. Fastest lap will start you from pole position. So tonight's kind of an opportunity for guys to get back into the swing of things, because again, there is a championship on the line for the average Joes who are fighting against some of the Joe Gibbs Racing and iRacing talent in this series. So you're still racing for points, and this is the first of what is going to be 6 consecutive weeks of racing before you know, this season is over, so we can wrap things up in time for the Daytona 500 and then the regular NASCAR Cup Series festivities to take over your Sundays once more. So there's going to be a lot going on from this point on to the end of the year. Eldora tonight, Circuit of the Americas Sunday, Bristol, Dover, Homestead, Talladega, all to come in the next couple of weeks. But focusing on this race, some specific things we should note, you know, to kind of let people know, Randy, what's going to be going on tonight. So it is a 125 lap race at the Eldora Speedway, and there are going to be no cautions over the course of green flag racing in this one. I'll preface it with that because we will have 3 breaks in this race. We will have a competition caution per se at lap 30, lap 60, and lap 90. Outside of those 3 points, though, you spin out, tough luck. You got to get back going. I think it'll make this race very interesting, considering just how crazy the dirt races can be, especially for those if you've ever raced dirt on the iRacing service in the last couple of months. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah, survival is going to be very, very important here tonight due to the no yellows thing, like you just said. You know, at Indianapolis Raceway Park a few weeks back had a lot of cautions on that short track, so this should speed up the show a little bit and have those few competition cautions separated out every 30 or so laps. It should make this one a good one, and you know, like you said, you don't want to be one of those people who makes a mistake, ends up facing the wrong way. That is really going to hurt you.
And because Tyler Hudson has won both races, he leads the championship standings coming into tonight. He has an 11-point lead over Pedro Mega, who is second in the championship. Jason K. Miller, Tony Mongi, and Michael Guest are your top 5 drivers in the points coming into this one. And just like we do every single week, have a couple of our Joe Gibbs Racing VIPs with us. Of course, Brian Boris Cook is back in this race as well, and I believe somewhere, and again, everybody's going through qualified right now, so the running order is shuffled up a little bit, but I believe Myatt Snyder's here as well in the 51 machine, somebody who I'm sure has plenty of experience on the railroad side of things, racing in dirt here or there. So it'll be a fun one. And you know, in comparison to the asphalt racing, you know, we have had asphalt racing on this iRacing.com sim for quite some time now, and yes, it has continuously evolved over the years when iRacing inserted the dynamic track surface, but this dirt stuff is still very much new, and it's not only these NASCAR Camping World trucks that you're seeing on track. You could also race, you know, World of Outlaws. We're talking sprint cars and dirt late models and so many different things, which is really taking iRacing by storm. But you've even got, you know, guys who race dirt on a regular basis in the World of Outlaws, guys who, you know, dabble in it here and there, who have to deal with, you know, NASCAR on the full-time side of things, somebody like the Kyle Larson, who hop on iRacing and do dirt racing all the time. So this has been very much a success since it's been released on iRacing over the last couple of months, and I'm sure this was a date circled by at least half the field in this series for one they were really looking forward to.
Yeah, half the field is probably looking forward to the night, and the other half maybe not so much, because it is one of those things that some people do very well on the dirt, and you might see some names running up near the front that we're not used to seeing, but you might also see some people we're used to seeing up front really struggle, because it is just such a unique form of racing. I'm really excited about tonight. I haven't really seen a big race around Eldora in the trucks yet. We, of course, on RaceSpot, we do our Friday night dirt nights where we do the World of Outlaws and the Rallycross cars. We've seen sprint cars and super lates around this place, both in the World of Outlaws trim. But seeing these trucks around here is going to be unique and exciting. They're big, they're heavy, they have a lot of power, and that's, you know, really unique from something like a little bit more unique than a late model. Late model, you might fit into that category, but these trucks, they work a lot different from those dirt late models, and I don't think they're very much like a sprint car either.
And if you haven't been with us, you know, for the first 2 weeks leading up to this, first off, welcome, and we're happy to have you. What you're looking at is basically down to a 1/4 of an inch replica of the Eldora Raceway. These are laser scanned replicas of the NASCAR Camping World trucks. This is a laser scanned replica of the Eldora Speedway. This is all taking place on the iRacing.com simulator. Everybody in this race tonight are real drivers at home with the wheels set up on their computer, and they're competing. There's no AI or, you know, virtual drivers that these guys are going up against. Everybody in this competition is an actual driver, and yes, it is Myatt Snyder competing in this race out of the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. If you're not familiar with iRacing, iRacing is the leading online racing simulation. Developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service, iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks from all around the world. And in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is your one-stop shop for online racing, utilizing the latest technologies to recreate their ever-expanding lineup of famed cars and tracks. And you know, this race, what do you think about when you're talking about dirt, is the fact that it's going to be a chaotic race. You've got guys sliding, and back to that point I was making about the dynamic track surface, and you can see it a little bit as we continue to watch in with drivers qualifying, is that this racetrack's going to be worn in as well, and once you start to see that line forming, you can see that dark line moving up and up the track, this racetrack already has a good amount of wear on it, so you're going to have to be either way on the bottom of the racetrack or way up on the top side. And if you've ever watched dirt in real life, it gets interesting when you come into turn 2 and you come into turn 4, so how do these drivers balance the fact that they're not going to have yellows, but also if you're not aggressive on a racetrack like this, Randy, you're going to get left in dust. So it's going to be I think, quite the tight rope that you have to balance on if you want to find success in this race. 125 laps may not be a lot on the stopwatch, but it is a grueling 125 laps around a place like this.
When you talk about that race surface, 125 laps around this place is really going to slicken this track off. So you're going to see that fast line move, and as I'd say, a rough estimate that you can talk about is going to be when those competition cautions come out around lap 30, 60, and 90, is that you're going to start seeing around those points the track will really start to change, and that fast line will eventually move. You'll see likely the bottom come into a certain point. The top side will likely be the place to be most of the night, but there will be a point where that side is going to slick off once we get these trucks up and rolling here in just a few moments. It's going to be an exciting one. I expect a lot of slide jobbing tonight. I expect a lot of physical racing tonight, a lot of bumping, a lot of banging, and I'm sure a handful of hot heads at the end of this one because the night didn't go their way.
You can see the provisional qualifying times on the left-hand side of your screen, Randy. Tyler Hudson, two-time winner this year, again a NASCAR iRacing Series champion as of a couple of years ago. He's won both races so far on this series. He is second fastest tonight. Does he go 3 for 3?
I think he might. We've seen Tyler Hudson in our Friday night Friday night dirt nights, and he has been phenomenal in that dirt super late model. He is, very much a regular in that car. He's used to running on the dirt. Not sure if he's super used to running this truck around in the dirt, but that's just going to be a little bit of little bit of adaptation maybe for him, but of all the names up and down this field, he's the one that stands out to me as an ace on the dirt side. Not that he's not an ace on the other side of things as well on the asphalt, but Tyler Hudson, he definitely stands out to me as the favorite.
We look forward to getting this one underway. The qualifying session has come to a close, so the trucks are lined up on pit road behind the RH official pace track. Let's go down and join them trackside and take a look at tonight's starting grid. A pole position in this one going to go to the driver of the number 5 machine. That is Justin Fuller. Has had speed, but has not found victory lane yet this year. He will start from the pole alongside with Tyler Hudson. We'll join him in second position. Austin Green going to start tonight in third spot behind the wheel of the number 43 Chuck. He'll be joined outside row 2 P4 by Michael Gast, and Travis Solidberger rounds out your top 5.
Brian Boris Cook will round out that third row in 6th. Rhett McBride in 7th. Malik Ray in 8th. Tony Mongi 9th. And Jason Miller, he will round out your top 10.
Glenn Campbell will start tonight in 11th position. That'll be the inside of row 6. And outside driver of the number 51 machine for Kyle Busch Motorsports, that is Myatt Snyder, rolling off in 12th. Patrick Colby will start tonight in the unlucky number 13 starting position. He'll be accompanied by Brian Backlund in 14th, who is the final driver to take a time into qualifying. Just behind them, Mike Kelly is 15th.
Thomas George will roll off 16th. Scott Simley in that 17th spot. Joe Hudson will join him on that 9th row in the 18th spot. Brian Wortman in 19th, and Steve Gottschalk will round out your top 20.
On a couple of cars here, 21st position is Pedro Vega. You've got Jose Gonzalez in 22nd, Stefan Baranek 23rd, EJ O'Rourke 24th with Chris Cabot in 25th, and to round out the field at the back, 26th position is Joey Jettina. There's a look top to bottom at your starting grid. Cars now on track. It is 125 laps at the Eldora Speedway. This racetrack clocks in at a half a mile in length. We will go racing for 62.5 miles in this one. But again, 3 stages. We will have yellow flags only at lap 30, 60, and 90 for those competition yellows. There are no cautions outside of those select periods. So you have to keep that truck clean if you want to be fighting for the win a little bit later on here tonight from New Weston, Ohio. The pace track is going to go down and in, and we're ready to kick off 2018 from Eldora. Green flag in the air. We're off and away with the Joe Gibbs Racing Off-Season Action League. And already guys struggling for the grip in the dirt, trying to get up the speed. Race lead, Justin Fuller, first time out of 2.
Tyler Hudson really made him work for it, though, through the inside of 1 and 2. And you see Hudson, he goes down to the bottom with Justin Fuller opting for that middle groove. You see fanning out 3-4 wide in the mid-pack, but Tyler Hudson makes, I think, a little bit of contact with Fuller coming off of 4, really trying to put pressure on that 5 early.
5 machine opens about 2 truck lengths of a gap. You saw Hudson on the inside of the racetrack on that opening exchange through 1 and 2. Tried to cross the 5 over, wasn't able to do so. Meanwhile, in third, Austin Green way up against the wall. So is the 74, Michael Guest. Different story, though. Look at Sullenberger in the 66, and even the one to make Malik Ray in the inside. Your 3 rod right now for third. Using every inch of the racetrack.
A little bit of lap traffic already affecting your race leaders. Justin Fuller and Tyler Hudson, they had to get around Thomas George. But still, like you said, fanning out 3-4 wide through 3 and 4. You have the likes of Austin Green, Mike Guest, Rhett McBride, handful of drivers in this mid-pack. You also have Brian Boris Cook as they all roll through into 1 and 2 right now. The 1 machine all sorts of sideways. That's Malik Ray fighting with the 66 of Sullenberger.
Battle for the race lead is on again. The 0-1 Hudson to the inside of the racetrack. You can see the racetrack nice and clean. Took care of it just before the race started, so that bottom is a place you could run now. It is not going to be a place you could run at 120 laps from now. In contact for the race lead. Fuller in the 5 getting pushed up a little bit, and Hudson, who has led the last couple of times by, will slide up in front of the 5, and he'll go to the race lead. Fuller does not want to give it up. He'll now go on the inside.
Let's see if that 5 machine can make that bottom work just the same way the 0-1 did. He tried to slide up in front of Hudson, able to do so, but Tyler, good job driving that thing back down to the bottom. He's now down low as they roll through into 3 and 4. Can he retake this race lead, swapping that point 2 times in here on lap number 6? And Tyler Hudson, he's going to know the head and lead him at the line.
The 01 machine has had the upper hand in this battle last couple of times around. Fuller is still very much there. And again, the exchange slide jobs on one another. Pretty excited action for only 5 laps into this race. The 01 machine really going to hug the inside of fence, and that's going to give him, first time tonight, actually a clear position for the race lead as he is in front of Fuller down to turn number 1. Don't count out Malik Ray. The number 1 machine started in 8th position. He's already worked his way up to 3rd, and hotly on his heels is Travis Soliderberger, who's also gone +1.
Yeah, the way these two are fighting, they're costing themselves a lot of time up in front, and it's allowed the likes of Ray and Sollenberger to reel them in. Hudson now, he's going to come under attack from Fuller once again, trying to make that bottom work is Justin, but you see Malik Ray and Sollenberger still stalking Ray, pushes up the racetrack, catches that outside wall of that tailgate just a little bit. Should be just a little cosmetic damage, no harm, no foul there. These trucks are tough, and really the speed's relatively low from what you might see these guys normally fall in, but these guys still 2x2 for the top 4 wheeling through 1 and 2.
You can see these guys slowly moving up the hill with now the 01, the 5, and the 1. On the outside of the racetrack, Malik Ray really driving it in hard. The 5 of Fuller wanted to do the same thing, and that was cut way low in 3 and 4, as opposed to at this end of the racetrack where they both ran high. Have to leave some room for a lap truck. The 89 machine of Brian Wortman outside of the racetrack going to fall 1 lap down, and it'll make it a side-by-side fight for 3rd spot with that 66 of Sollenberger to the inside of the racetrack. You got a couple of guys moving up, as noted. Malik Ray +7 in 3rd. These couple of drivers are going backwards. Brian Boris Cook, the digital media head at Joe Gibbs Racing, makes a lot of this possible. Lost a couple of spots, but just got 1 back. He runs in 8th position right now, just behind Tony Manji, who is 7th.
Yeah, a handful of guys have definitely moved their way up. But Sollenberger and Malik Ray, they're fighting now, and Sollenberger has gotten that move done on Malik Ray. Malik trying to work the momentum down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Throws a little bit of a move into 1, but clips that inside wall, and that's going to be the end of that attempt on getting that 2nd spot back. And Justin Fuller has reeled in Tyler Hudson just a little bit, and because of that, that 5 machine once again pressuring the 2-time winner thus far this season in the 01, and he makes a move off 4.
And how about 3-1? The 91's going to hold the bottom. That is not for position. The 91 is Steve Gottschalk going a lap down, but he made it very difficult for Fuller to find a position. The 5 committed to it, and we are side by side for the race lead again. And the 5 on the inside, it's the shorter way around the racetrack, so you really have that advantage going in and in the center of the corner where Hudson's line is up top. You can stay in the gas much better, and of course you tend to get better runs off, but Justin Fuller has taken the race lead back at lap 15. We're halfway to our first yellow, and another lap truck going to get in the way of the 5. This time it might help out the 01 of Hudson.
That was Jose Gonzalez up top, and they were 3 wide, and they were putting that truck behind them as the 01 of Hudson now firmly down along the inside around Justin Fuller. Amazing racing thus far tonight here at Eldora. 4-year race lead. These two have been under a blanket the entire time. The 5 machine really pitches it in as they try to deal with another lap truck. That's going to be Pedro Mega, someone we've seen a couple times this season, and they all make contact with one another. The 01's going to lead that lap because of it, but a little bit of contact gives the 5 back to race lead. 66 of Sollenberger. He's made up a lot of ground, and now he's trying to make a move on Hudson for 2nd.
Yeah, while all this was going on, the 66 of Sollenberger, you see right there in 3rd, he passed Malik Ray for that position and takes advantage of the little bit of a bobble amongst the 01 and the 5, fighting with the lap traffic. Sollenberger scored in 2nd last time by. Not clear for P2. The 01 machine still up on the outside of the racetrack, and Hudson is going to fight him back for that spot, and looks like he may just be successful in it all. And after it looked like it was going to go so wrong for Justin Fuller, lap traffic almost cost him the race lead. This time it helped him out a little bit, and he pulls to a race high 0.6 of a second advantage for the top spot.
Yeah, that definitely worked out for him. Oh, but he does not look good into corner number 3, and he loses a lot of time. That 0.6 of a second just goes away in the blink of an eye. One little mistake, getting a little bit loose entering that turns number 3 and 4, and now Tyler Hudson is buried underneath the back of Justin Fuller. Sollenberger's lost a little bit of ground as well. He was really harassing that 01 machine, but 01 saw that mistake from the 5, and he's really trying to capitalize. You can see that middle groove of the racetrack really starting to slick off. As the 01, big incident in front of him, he goes whole avoiding action, able to just slip through.
And that was Brian Boris Cook. We were just talking about him. Started top 10, just spun out. He got his nose into the inside wall. It looped him around, and that looks like it may end his night. We saw Malik Ray do that to the inside wall in turn 1 not all that long ago, and all of a sudden, Justin Fuller right back to where he was at that 0.6 of a second advantage. And these guys really don't use the straightaways on this to straighten that wheel out at all, Randy, and you can really see it with the 0-1 Hudson. That car is skewed to the left all the way down the back straightaway. It's still turned, and the issue that the 5 had was that back end of the right side of the truck just stuck out a little bit too much, and it hooked him into the fence. That's what cost him it all the time. That allowed Tyler Hudson to close back in. Not sure if the 0-1 is able to bank on the 5 making a mistake again. He's still comfortably in second, trying to stay in front of Malik Ray, who has taken third back from Sullenberger, this time by 23 laps going to be complete, 7 laps to the opening yellow.
Watching that 0-1 machine work, you're absolutely right. He constantly has 90 to 180 degrees alocked in that steering wheel as he goes around here. Occasionally he'll kick it a little bit more to the left if he gets a little bit tight to the corners, but he's always pointing that truck to the right with that steering wheel, and the car is just still constantly going to the left. So well done by the likes of both Fuller, Hudson, these guys that are really showing off how you have to drive these things on the dirt. Fuller, meanwhile, he's actually doing stylistically a little bit different. He really throws the car in with the wheel when he enters into 1 and 3, compared to the likes of Hudson, who just basically keeps that slide going the entire of the racetrack. The 5 machine sort of stops that slide, and then he throws it in once they get to the corner.
You can really see it when you go with some of those onboard shots we saw just a couple of laps ago with Justin Fuller. That wheel is at no times turned to the left, and yet the truck is at all times pointing left, using that throttle off of the corner to keep that truck pitched to the inside and to help it turn around the racetrack. Fuller, though, with a big mistake. The race leader, the 5, Justin Fuller, with a bad entry to turn number 3 as Hudson challenged him to the inside. The 5 just got way too sideways, lost a lot of speed, and he will fall back even more. There's contact, and Sullenberger from second spins.
That's what I was about to mention about that mistake that Fuller made. He didn't just lose 1 spot, he lost 3, and then they get in that incident. Now the question has to be, what kind of damage does Fuller have under that truck? Could that potentially end his night when we eventually go to comp yellow? He still is out there and running, so he seems to not be too badly hurt. Sullenberger, though, has to be question marks for him. A lot of damage on the front end of that 66.
He's going to be able to keep it going. He falls to P8. Again, no yellow until we get to our first competition caution, which is coming up in just a little bit over 2 laps. So after all of that hotly contested action for the race lead, Tyler Hudson, 2 for 2 so far this year, is at a 1.4 second advantage over Malik Ray. Out of the 26 trucks who started this, 13 of them scored on the lead lap. We talked about attrition early. That's definitely been a factor.
Yeah, a bit lot of attrition early on here as Tyler Hudson currently leading. He's going to come through 3 and 4, and he's going to bring us to our first competition yellow here once they come up and off this corner. Malik Ray's done a fantastic job, though, this run. Starting 8th, moving his way up to 2nd. Fantastic driving from that 1 machine.
And we do get our first competition yellow on the evening, and we will check everybody up, get everybody grouped back together, and we will go back green flag racing and await another competition yellow. Halfway point, just shy, I guess, at the halfway point with 125 laps total on the evening. Next one will come out at lap 60, and again, if trying to follow along, obviously the standings as they run up at the top of your screen, but of course the lap counter top left as well as we work down and get closer and closer to the end of this one. Just watching these guys at a slow to pace right in the tire treads of the 0-1 machine of Hudson up front right now, and you can definitely see that racetrack get worked in. There's no grip when this thing gets rubbered up, and that truck's just going to slide high, so you're going to have guys searching, again, way up high, or they're way down low, trying to avoid those dark spots. Anywhere you see dark where the racetrack's been worked in is something that these guys do not want to be running in.
Dark isn't necessarily bad. It's dark and shiny and slick that you really want to look out for. The top side of the racetrack, the very, very high line, there is still a bit of good dirt and a bit of a cushion up there, but you see the middle groove of the racetrack, though, Evan, you're absolutely right. Especially you see it going into corner number 3. You see a lot of that darkened up, and it's slick there. The groove that you see up top right now, that's still good loose dirt, not very well packed in because of that fast line up top. Hasn't started to really go away yet, but we haven't seen people, Evan, really run up against the wall the way I might have expected we would have. A lot of people running the middle to the low side of the racetrack, which actually catches me a little bit by surprise. I expected a lot of wall riding here tonight, but I think we're going to see some of these guys move up as this race continues to go on and this track continues to evolve.
And we saw that when we just joined you towards the end of the practice session, and of course in the qualifying, the racetrack already had wear on it from the hour and 20-minute practice session before we came online. The drivers were way up against the fence. Austin Greed, one of the names that jumps into my mind when we were talking about guys getting way up there. You're talking about the right rear of those trucks being maybe half a foot at most off of the outside wall, sometimes even getting into the outside wall to help that car get through the corner just a tad a bit. But we cleaned the racetrack. It was a brand new surface for race time conditions, so we're gonna have to wait and see until more laps get run. Then the racetrack will start to get back to that point like it was after the end of a long practice session, and we will definitely see drivers searching for that dirt way up at the top side of the racetrack. Again, it's that shiny stuff that you not want to be running in, and right now it's on the left-hand side, I should say, of the cars right now headed into turns 3 and 4, about a lane lower than where you see the old Tyler Hudson run at the moment. He took over the race lead in this one pretty quickly, traded it back a couple of times here and there with Justin Fuller. And now the 01 machine is trying to run away with this one once more. Still a long way to go from Eldora. Lap car is going to go back on the inside, get their lead lap status back. Next time around, 90 laps to go, looking for the green.
Yeah, it's been an exciting one thus far, and you're right. The way that Top Groove is going to end up working is going to be really, really interesting, because we're getting in 30-lap segments. We sort of get little. It's almost like we're dissecting a 125-lap race and how these guys are going to move up the racetrack. Really interesting to analyze and have a chance to take a break and say, oh, hey, look, this is why they're doing what they're doing. This is what the racetrack is doing, versus trying to do it in the middle of the racing action where they roll into 3 and 4. We're about to go green.
You can see the 01 running up on the outside of the racetrack, trying to make sure that nobody can get a jump on him. You cannot pass on the inside of the racetrack. Coming to a restart, and the 01 machine, again, we saw it on the initial one. They're going to wait one more lap, make sure everybody at the back is grouped up, so we will go green the next time around. Biggest thing to obviously pay attention to on the dirt is you don't want to talk about tire spin, and to be fair, we did mention it in the last 2 weeks on asphalt tracks, but you can't just put the pedal down and go for it on a racetrack like this. The right-hand side of those trucks are going to immediately swing out towards the fence. A little bit less dicey in single-file restart procedures than it was earlier on when we went 2x2 to come to the first drop of the green flag this evening. But definitely watch as Hudson tries to get a good jump here. And let's see how they power off to turn 1. That inside is going to be wide open with these guys up against the fence. Curious if maybe Malik Ray makes a dive to go for the race lead. Tyler Hudson is on the gas. Green flag back in the air at lap number 37.
Into 1 and 2 they will go. You see, still working the middle of the racetrack is that 01 machine of Tyler Hudson, and we've been talking about this racetrack. Whenever you're running on dirt, the main thing you want to make happen is the 1 machine of Malik Ray. He's going to go all the way down to the bottom and struggle and fight with this with Tyler Hudson. He wants to race lead. He wants to be +7, not +6. I wanted to talk about the racetrack a little bit, but Malik, he's going to force me to talk about the racing action. He tries to slide up in front of Hudson, unable to do so, but the 01 clips the wall.
Hudson, though, does end up maintaining the race lead in this one, and now look at the 5 of Justin Fuller trying to challenge on the inside of the racetrack. Malik Ray snaps it loose a little bit too sideways off of turn number 4. I was just about to mention Ray was at a race high P2. Now it looks like that may be under threat. He's already fallen to 3rd with the 5 getting in front, and I thought maybe Michael Guest into the picture. Started 4th, still runs at 4th. We're talking about that number 74 machine, Michael Guest, looking to break top 3 for the first time tonight. He's able to do it on the inside, and Malik Ray able to defend 3rd. 74 machine is another one of the drivers we've seen in our Race Spot Friday night dirt nights. We've seen him in the sprint cars, we've seen him in the late model, we've even seen him running some rallycross. That 74 machine, he knows how to wheel on these sorts of surfaces, but everyone slowly, as you can see, moving up the racetrack. That 1 machine on Malik Ray, we're going to be frustrated at that mistake that he lost that 2nd spot. You see him lurking behind the 5 of Justin Fuller right now, but you see everyone much higher on the racetrack now, Evan, than what we were seeing when that first green flag run came to an end. It's finally seen something that we really didn't see in that first run, and that is some separation up at the front of the field. The 41 of VJ O'Rourke in 7th just made a mistake in turn 4. Tried to make a dive at the 9 and 2 of Tony Mongi, fighting for 5th. Cost him a position with Matt McBride in the number 78 machine following him through. Just behind these two, Mike Kelly, the number 2 truck, trying to get into the fight. He's P8. Then you'll find Travis Sullenberger, who was up front, has since dropped back as 9th.
Oh, Fuller's in the wall facing the wrong way. Fuller's in the wall facing the wrong way. Not sure what happened here. This may have been an incident with Malik Ray going into corner number 3, and Yeah, that was indeed the situation. The 5 machine, he really pitched it into 3, and the 1 tried to really drive it in hard up on the top of the racetrack, and he just clipped the left rear of that 5 machine of Justin Fuller, and that sent him around.
And I'm not sure it was really the 1 machine of, Ray who had the bad corner. We saw this happen with Fuller in that first run where you dive it into the corner, and if you break 2 sideways, you're not going to be going anywhere. And I think the 5 just got a little bit too sideways, and it's very difficult for that car, if you're talking about the Wood Malik Ray, to just get out of the way when you're ringing that top side. And I think Ray just had a much better corner. Gets into Fuller. Fuller's night appears to be done as he goes for a spin. The unlucky trends continue. Meanwhile, the 12 of Joe Hudson is in the middle of a lot of excitement. Behind him, the 10 of Chris Cabot, he's got Pedro Mega, Steven Gottschalk, all of this going on just outside of the top 10.
Yeah, Joe Hudson, and he has some other business coming up behind him. The 01 machine of Tyler Hudson, he's lurking back there, and he wants to try to get around these guys with them being lap traffic. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these drivers deal with the faster drivers coming through. Hudson goes to the bottom. He's going to put Hudson, well, the other Hudson behind him. This is going to confuse me, Hudson and Hudson.
Yeah, they are trying to get in this thing and mix it up, and the 01's going to spin! Hudson sideways at a 2. He will tag, look like a lap truck at the inside. It was Joe Hudson. And all of a sudden, I think Malik Ray is going to be a race leader in the 1 truck.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for the 01 machine. The 12 of Joe Hudson saw the 01 spinning in front of him, tried to get down to the inside and squeak through down low, but that pretty much that door got shut by that spinning 01 machine, and now Malik Ray is going to be a very happy camper up front. What kind of damage does Tyler have, and can Malik Ray keep him behind him?
And that just shows you how easy it is to make a mistake in this kind of dirt racing on the iRacing.com service if a defending Oval World Champion is going to go and make a mistake. And Hudson's still very much in this, and again, we've seen drivers have issues like that, get tagged from somebody else coming from behind it, and basically end their evening. Justin Fuller, case in point. Hudson's going right back at the race lead at lap number 50. We're going to get another yellow in 10 laps from now, but Hudson's only about maybe 4 or 5 car lengths off the back of the 1. Heavy lap traffic, though, for Malik Ray, trying to go through the middle of all of them and pushes the 48 car Omega out of the way.
Yeah, maybe a little over-aggressive there for Malik, because that's going to cost him a lot of time. But at the same point, when you have an iRacing World Champion chomping at the bit just off your rear bumper, I don't think you're going to be too patient. They're still trying to deal with the lap traffic. 01, Tyler maybe a little bit better of it. The 10 machine up top gets sent around. Everyone's going to do a good job avoiding that. But the 01 of Hudson, I think he looks more comfortable due to the traffic, Evan. And you see he's going to make a move into 1 and 2. Malik Ray, he's going to lose the point for a moment. Can he work the momentum up top? Setting that right rear tire on the cushion, gets a good drive off down the back straightaway, and that will allow him to hold on to the race lead and really pitches it into 3 and 4 here. You see the 1 of Malik Ray really working that top side of the racetrack beautifully.
When once Malik Ray has found himself back in a little bit of clean racetrack, he's been a little bit better than the 01 of Hudson, able to restore that couple of truck lengths advantage. Gets into the fence that time, not once, but now twice, and it's going to really butcher his entry to turn 3. But this is that line we were waiting for these guys to take over. Right up against the outside, Ray had a very difficult time fighting through the lap traffic that allowed Hudson to get right back into this. And I thought the 01 was going to go for the full commit, go for the slide job. Thought better of it and stayed inside of him again. We're not even halfway home yet tonight from Eldora Speedway. Working lap 54 to 125, but don't tell these guys that.
Yeah, they're all running really, really hard, and like you said, that 1 machine really working the top side, and this racetrack has evolved into what we're used to seeing from these trucks here at the Eldora Speedway. 1 machine of Malik Ray, he clips the wall coming off too. That's going to be no harm, no foul for the most part. Just a little bit of a bent body panel, but all should be all right. But right now, Evan, the thing is that the top side of the racetrack is pretty much as good as it's going to get. From here on out, it's going to get more and more difficult to run up there. Currently, you have about a truck's width worth of good dirt up there, and that's going to slowly start to come away to the point you only have about a few feet to actually work with up against that wall, and it'll be slickened off all the way up there to the top. That's when you're going to see the people who are really good and really confident riding around the wall come in and set the car up on that cushion.
Ray's going to have to deal with more traffic. How long do we go until the end of this? We have about 3 laps as of this time by until the yellow comes out. Will the 23 and Jason K. Miller be a factor? Miller right now is the final truck on the lead lap, and the one has not had a lot of fun with lap trucks this evening. The 23 will stay out of the way. Malik Ray, really aggressive drive That's one way to clear him. We saw Malik Ray also make contact a little bit ago, obviously with a couple of drivers, but Myatt Snyder was one of them, the 51 machine. Again, driver for Kyle Busch Motorsports, also the son of TV host Marty Snyder, is right now one lap down in 12th. He was one of the drivers that Malik Ray had to negotiate with. And again, even though you're off of the lead lap right now with 9 trucks in the lead lap, everybody else still very much a factor. 23 trucks actively still on track.
One truck we haven't really talked about is we're going to be getting the last lap of this green flag run, getting prompt yellow once we come around once again. Is that 74 Michael Gestev? We talked about him a little bit at the start of this little segment. That 74, he's done a good job just lurking up there, up amongst the front. He's sort of been quietly riding this whole 60-lap run, and it's going to be interesting to see what he can do through these final 2 segments as Malik Ray. He's going to come through, and he's going to lead him to competition yellow number 2.
Yellow flag is out, and it is going to be the one of Malik Ray in control at the moment of yellow. When we go back, Reed, we will be past the halfway point in tonight's JGR 125, presented by Sim 500 from the Eldora Speedway. Let's take this opportunity to reset your field after half of tonight's action. Take a look top to bottom at your iRacing video race break, brought to you by iRacing. Malik Ray started at 8th position. He is your race leader at lap number 61. Tyler D. Hudson, 2 for 2 this year on wins. Right there, exactly where he started, in 2nd position. Michael Gass, you just noted him. He's running in 3rd at the moment. Tony Bonci up to 4th. And Travis Solidberger back inside of the top 5. Mike Kelly runs in 6th position with Rhett McBride in 7th. E.J. O'Rourke 8th. Brian Boris Cook back to the lead lap, scored 9th. And first driver 1 lap down is Jason K. Miller, P10.
Jose Gonzalez is sat in that 11th spot. Myatt Snyder, he's going to sit in 12th. Steve Gottschalk, he's in 13th. Joe Hudson, 14th. Brian Macklin, he's going to round out your top 15. Pedro Mega, someone who we've seen a lot of the first couple rounds, not having a good night of running here at Eldora on the dirt. He is in 16th. Austin Green, 17th. Interesting to see him so far down the order. 3rd place qualifier, he runs 17th. Brian Wertman in 18th. Thomas George, 19th. And Scott Simley, he rounds out your top 20.
The rest of these cars, again, many of them still on track. 21st is Patrick Colby. Chris Gabot is 22nd. Glenn Campbell is 23rd. And then drivers out of this race, 24th, Justin Fuller. 25th, Stefan Baranek, and Joey Gitina in 26th position. So just as we say that, pit road is going to be open for drivers to come down and get some fresh tires if they do so desire. And notably in that one, the 01 machine of Tyler Hudson says that he wants to get fresh tires, and he will come down to the pit lane, and it's going to give him an opportunity as well to get some of the cosmetics on that Toyota Tundra fixed up. It was a very quick in and out for the 01. He would lose a handful of positions, and he will get an updated number on where the 01 machine will be this time by. He was 2nd before. And after pitting, Tyler Hudson is going to be scored in 7th spot, which is not all that bad and still puts him, I think, well within striking distance of up front.
I think Tyler will be absolutely fine with where he's going to come out here. He's going to be he should be 7th or so truck in line once we go back to green flag racing. So if that 01 machine, he's not going to be very far down the order from that race leader. And Tyler's been the most consistent of all those front runners. Everyone else has had issues, either struggling with traffic or making their own mistakes here and there. We've seen almost everyone except that 01 machine really do that. I think Tyler, he'll be all right getting past these few cars. And he may not get the lead by the next segment, but I think he'll get it at least during that final segment as we go and finish this race from lap 90 to 125.
Hot truck's going to get sent by on the inside of the racetrack, now past the halfway point in tonight's 3rd race of this Joe Gibbs Racing off-season action iRacing League. If you're just tuning in, we're happy to have you with us for the first race on the 2018 side of the calendar. All of this taking place on the iRacing.com service. A lot of average Joes out with us on a weeknight, racing against a couple of our real-world NASCAR stars, most notably Myatt Snyder, an appearance here with us tonight, driver for KBM, and the series is going to continue. Still 5 more races until NASCAR returns, so hope that you are with us for every Sunday until the 500. On January the 7th, we're going to be at Circuit of the Americas. On 14th of January, we'll be at Bristol. The 21st is going to be Dover. The 28th, we will be at Homestead, and the final race of this virtual series will take place on Sunday, February the 4th from Talladega, and then get right back into world side of things, so we hope we're doing a good job of tying you over until that point. Restart 2 up, Malik Ray, Michael Guest, Tony Manji, Travis Sullenberger, Mike Kelly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. only real noticeable change is that obviously Tyler Hudson drops down to 7th position after heading down to the pit lane under the yellow flag exchange. But Malik Ray this time is going to come. He will look for the green flag as we get set to go back underway. 66 laps down.
This will be a good clean start amongst all your front runners as they go running into 1 and 2. The 01 of Hudson, he's already going to work. And he puts one driver behind him. That was Rhett McBride. So move that 01 machine up into 6th. Already up 1 spot. We're only half a lap in.
Gotta do, make quick moves on the restarts. Not gonna have this opportunity to get close to a lot of guys, so Hudson goes to P6. In front of him, a fight's gonna be on for 3rd. The 66 of Travis Sullenberger on the inside of the 92 of Tony Mongi. The 92 machine doing a good job topside, will successfully play defense.
Bit of a recovery drive for Sullenberger right now. You saw him have those issues a little bit earlier on. Car up on the wall behind them, though. That was the 2 machine of Mike Kelly. 01 machine of Tyler Hudson's going to love that, be able to get some free time. Reeled into that 2 machine of the 01, drives it hard into 1. Not quite able to get there, but coming off the corner, he's going to work that momentum, gets a good run to Tyler Hudson as Travis Sullenberger, he clips the wall down the back straightaway. Hudson might be able to get 2 done in 1 lap here as he looks really good down along the bottom of the racetrack.
Almost got him. Sullenberger was able to recover, though he did fall down a couple of positions. The number 66 machine back down to P4. Got stuck up against the fence basically all the way through 3 and 4. And Hudson's within striking distance, something I would not want to give that 01 even a remote opportunity of it. Again, the 66 having to run that very high line to stay out of the slick stuff. Gets into the outside fence once more and again into the outside. All that time a lot harder in turn 1.
I wouldn't be surprised if that bent something on Sullenberger's truck, because now the 01 of Tyler Hudson, he's going to take that spot away, so move him back up into 4th. Only been running a few laps here, and he's already up into that 4th spot. So well done here by Tyler Hudson on this restart. Next car in line will be Tony Mongi. Has a little bit of time before he gets there, but talking about this racetrack slickening up, Evan, we've seen a few drivers here on the start of this little segment, just these opening handful of laps, really struggling on the entrance of the corner. We've seen a number of drivers really push, trying to get that car turned in and see them slam into that outside wall.
All of this is going on when Malik Ray leads by a second. Michael Guest, who's still P2, Todibanji's still 3rd, but they are sure going to be contested shortly by Tyler Hudson, who's already made his way halfway to the front after falling outside of the top 7 by pitting under the yellow flag. There's a lot more trucks on the lead lap as well. A lot of drivers stayed out, got the wave by, and of course a lot of drivers also stayed out to take a wave around. So we do have 13 at the moment scored on the lead lap.
A little bit more than what we saw when we initially ended that last stint here, but you already see lap traffic once again. A lot of hurt trucks out there, and because of that, struggling for pace. Lap traffic already becoming an issue, but you see most of them, they're doing a nice job of sticking themselves down around the bottom of the racetrack. Instantly enough, the one of Malik Ray, he puts his truck down along the bottom of the racetrack, entering 3 and 4. I think that one machine is looking for something, Evan, seeing if there may be a little bit of a better line to run. As the 01 Hudson, he's going to take the fight to Tony Mongi. There's a bit of good dirt in the middle of 1 and 2. 01 of Hudson sets the rear tires on it, but no doing just yet. He goes to the bottom in 3 and 4 as well. Can he get the job done on this 92? He knows the head at the moment, but the 92 is going to get a big run of momentum off the top.
Again, there's no yellows in this one, so we had a spin back in the pack for Pedro Omega. No issues. We're still racing up front, and Todibanji tags the fence again. You can't keep giving Tyler Hudson free opportunities like that. And with the 01 way down on the inside of the fence, he is going to move into 3rd position, and he will slide up and shut the door. Slide job. You get the number 3 spot away from Todibanji as Hudson now continues to march towards the front, and he's passing trucks, which is obviously good, Randy. But the biggest thing that's hurting him is the amount of time it takes him to do it. Don't get me wrong, he's making efficient passes. He's up to 3rd, but in doing so has lost to 1.5 seconds and now 1.8 seconds to the race leaders. That's going to be a lot more difficult to make up than passing the guys right in front of you.
And he's got another competition caution coming here in about 15 laps time. So if I'm the 01 of Hudson, I'm really not that worried. this is the segment of the race where you want to just focus on picking off cars if you're the 01 of Tyler Hudson, as opposed to trying to just maintain that gap to Malik Ray, because once we reset the field, any time lost is going to be irrelevant, but the number of cars between you and that race leader is going to be very relevant, as now the 01 machine is slowly reeling in Michael Guest. And interestingly enough, 01 machine really the only truck we see work in the middle of the racetrack in the slick, basically, but he's able to make it work with the way he's angling off the corners.
And that next break is only 9 laps away, so if Tyler Hudson can simply maintain, he will be in a pretty good position. A couple of drivers picking spots back up. Brian Boris Cook, I've mentioned him a couple of times. He lost the lead lap status, got it back, and now is making marches towards the front, almost back up to where he started in 7th. He is still right now trailing the 2 of Mike Kelly, who is the second biggest mover. The biggest mover in this race is E.J. O'Rourke. He's behind those 2 drivers, right now running in 8th position. He has passed 16 trucks to run where he is right now from his starting position.
He's one of the only drivers that started that deep down the field, but is still running and having a good night. Jose Gonzalez, he's in the 10th spot. He started just 1 row in front of EJ, so a couple of drivers really having good nights that started deep in the field, but for the most of them, been not the sort of night they would want, as lap traffic now heavily coming into play. The one of Malik Ray, he's going to get himself around Jose Gonzalez, as a matter of fact, and he gets into the wall on the outside. So because of that, Jose's going to get by, and that's going to give up a bit of time to the 2 drivers behind, up to 74 in the 01. 01 of Hudson down to the bottom, fighting once again with Michael Guest in that 74. He wants that 2nd spot before we go to this next comp yellow.
And Jose Gonzalez has got no reason to go easy on the one of Malik Ray, because he's trying to stay on the lead lap. If he could have just stayed in front of the 5, or rather for the 1 for 5 more laps, I should say, then he would have been able to maintain lead lap status by the yellow, and then would be, I think, a much better position come the final run in this race. But it's not going to be the case, and we will drop now to 9 trucks total on the lead lap as Jose Gonzalez goes down a lap. Still Ray 1, Guest 2, Hudson 3, Manji 4, and Soliderberger in 5th position. Well, this is still a very active situation, and I think there's enough separation up front that these guys, I think, are just trying to get to that last competition yellow before everything breaks loose in the final run.
Yeah, I'm not expecting these top 3 are going to be that aggressive. The 01 machine of Hudson, he gets himself into the wall. The one of Malik Ray, he gets on the wall as well, coming off the corner, and that good little bit of dirt that's running on the top side of the racetrack, Evan, and it's really narrowed up. This is about a truck width once we went green on this last stint, and it's narrowed in by about 3/4 of a truck width, so there's not much of a fast line up there. The one of Malik Ray, he actually hops the cushion, gets into the wall. That's not going to be good for him. In the 74 of Michael Guest, he may have wanted to be patient, but in these closing laps, he might be able to take the race lead here, as the 1 has started to struggle.
Malik Ray just trying to limp, I think, to the end of this. Again, did not pit at all. Tyler Hudson has the cleanest truck out of those up front, because he did come down and pit at the competition yellow at the halfway point in tonight's 125 lap event from Eldora Speedway. So Malik Ray trying to get that little bit extra. And again, a challenge comes from Michael Guest, lasts about a lap and a half, and then is spread right back out. It's very hard to keep sustained pressure. And the 74 Guest going to be happy comp yellows this time by, because his inability to put a move on Malik Ray as they both work around. A couple of lap trucks on the inside, the 89 of Wortman, and as well looks like Wyatt Snotter down there too. Hudson going to be able to challenge. Guest hangs on. Lap number 90 complete. Competition caution is out.
I think you're right. That 1 machine is going to be a very, very happy camper along with the 74. But what's going on in the mind of the 01 and Tyler Hudson? He rolled off in that segment we just went through there in the 8th spot, managed to wheel himself up into 3rd. Is he going to be happy with that? Would he have wanted 2nd? He's going to have 2 trucks in front of him to have any hope of winning this thing and to make it 3 in a row. Not sure if that 01 machine is going to be happy with 3rd, or if he is going to be more than satisfied.
I think Tyler Hudson is going to want to go 3 for 3. He won the opening 2 races of this Joe Gibbs Racing Off-Season Action League from Rockingham Speedway on December the 10th, and from Indianapolis Raceway Park on December the 17th. We've been off for a couple of weeks. Again, this is the only time you will find us live here on a Wednesday evening. This series is going to return to our regular slot. We'll be live with you every single Sunday from this point on until February the 4th, which will be our final race from Talladega. So we hope everybody's with us on the Joe Gibbs Racing Facebook page. You can turn on notifications to make sure you get a heads up every time we go live here on Facebook, and You won't miss any of the races going forward. Yes, Eldora is a lot of fun. Dirt's one of the races that everybody had circled. The Lone Road Course coming up next week. In fact, this Sunday from Circuit of the Americas is definitely one that everybody's going to want to be tuned into. And again, all of this not able to happen without a lot of the people behind the scenes. Of course, the folks at Joe Gibbs Racing for putting this all together. The group at Sim 500 for organizing the series. Of course, our friends at HarpoonDesigns.com for painting all the cars you see on track. And of course, there's no way that you could be competing, Randy, in a virtual world on the iRacing.com service without a high-speed internet connection. And our friends at Eris High-Speed Modems, a big part of making that possible.
Yeah, internet connectivity is always a good thing for any sort of online gaming, be it racing sim, doing racing sims, or really anything. Having good high-speed connection, and modems are a very important part of that. Actually, one of our commentators, Alvin, he recently has trouble with a modem that went out on him, and ended up having to replace that. And well, he went from basically not even being able to commentate to now his internet is just flawless.
And hopefully everybody is able to enjoy the rest of this one, because with you know, the way that these yellows work out, you would think that the last stage would be a little bit longer. Final run to the end, I guess I should say. Not technically stages, but after this final competition yellow, we're going to be basically right back to where we were with that first run, because lap cars going down the inside, those trucks going to get back to the lead lap. We're either going to be right on the money or one lap shy of 30 to go. So, you know, these guys, it's not a longer stint, it's not a shorter stint. They know how long it's going to take, but obviously this is the worst condition this track has been all night with how much we've been running on it now to this point. You can really see that.
Yeah, the track's going to be really, really interesting, and that's why we've seen that top groove really be strong. You're not seeing the bottom of the racetrack. Your driver's not able to make moves down there because it's so slick. You can't carry the momentum up and off the corner, can't get in the throttle as early as you like. So that top side is going to be really strong. How are people going to make moves happen? Are they going to have to rely on mistakes, or are they just going to have to send it into 1 and into 3 and hope something sticks?
The one holding it up way high. We did see Joe Hudson get a black flag on the last restart for jumping the restart. Again, you cannot go until the race leading truck goes, so that is something to keep in mind as well. Not for obviously the folks up front, as Brian Snyder getting away with buying to get back in the lead lap. He would be the 14th, I believe, and maybe final truck to be on the lead lap, but you can't jump it, so everybody's got to wait on Malik Ray. Obviously, that puts that control truck in the best position. Coming to the green flag this time. Look for a quick move by Tyler Hudson maybe to try to get the P2.
Expect maybe even a quick move from the 74. Michael Guess, he knows that he doesn't want that 01 lurking behind him for very long. He wants to try to get a buffer. At the same time, the one of Malik Ray, he needs to be picture perfect right now, restarting in all this slick in 3 and 4.
Everybody lined up, looking for the green flag. Final run to the end here tonight from Eldora. Green flag is back in the air. One machine leads everybody through the quarters, but nice and tightly packed together. Ran to the wall once, now twice. Here comes Tyler Hudson. Inside on Guest. Inside of Malik Ray. The slide job up top will not hold the one. And back on the bottom, still in front, Malik Ray.
But Hudson was able to pick up one spot, and that's important. Now he only has to try to get around that one machine of Malik Ray. With a bit of a mistake from the 1 going into 1 and 2 on that restart. Can the 01 machine pressure Malik into another mistake? The 01 has been pretty much perfect. Malik, though, he's been he's fallen a victim to a couple mistakes from himself thus far. Can it happen again?
74 is right there as well. If maybe Malik Ray, Tyler Hudson get into it, the 74 could pick up the pieces. And Ray looks like he doesn't want to deviate from that top line. Tyler Hudson all night has been using that slot on the inside. You can see, though, it hurts his speed off of the corner. But in the center, he is clear. So he can do right there. Slide up, try to block the 1 machine. Malik Ray saw that coming second time, and just about as many laps. He crosses him back over, and we'll go back to the front of the field here. And that time, it's going to work. Hudson in front of the 1, slams the door on him, and leader that time by. Now they've swapped the lanes, though. The 1 truck on the inside.
And the 01 machine does a fantastic job to get himself turned in and back to the bottom underneath the one of Malik Ray. Door-to-door racing for this race lead. The 1 machine, again, a mistake through 3 and 4. The truck straightens out, not able to maintain that slide. And because of that, the 01 machine of Tyler Hudson comfortably in the lead. Here comes the 74 of Michael Guest. He wants to fight with Malik Ray to get into that second spot. The 1 still struggling up there with the 74, not having the confidence on the bottom that the 01 of Hudson did.
It is now Tyler Hudson first, Malik Ray second, and still Michael Guest back there in third spot. It was a hard-fought battle from both trucks. Right now up at the front of the field, with Tyler Hudson up front, and again, has Ace, just statistically speaking, a better truck. He got down, got the fresh tires, got that truck cleaned up at the halfway point, did give up 7 positions, was able to get those back, and I think it's going to be very difficult because, again, there are no yellows for Malik Ray to catch up to him. Hudson gains 2/10 that lap alone.
And the other problem that these drivers behind are going to have is the fact that the 01 of Hudson has been the best car dealing with the lap traffic all night tonight. The 1 machine, he's fallen victim to himself dealing with lap traffic a couple times. So is the 74. So I think the 01 machine, he should be pretty much fine out here as long as he doesn't make a big mistake in traffic.
There's a fight going on really just behind your leaders. The 63 of Brian Boris Cook is up to a race high P5. He's fighting with the 2 machine of Mike Kelly. And the 63 was able to complete that pass, couple of laps to go to get to the highest position in which he's been all night. And there was a little bit of a jump from these two up to Tony Manji in 4th. Any sort of a small error with the 92 truck brings both these trucks right back into it. And like Kelly went a little bit too low that time, trying to pass up the 63. He made a mistake, and Travis Sullenberger is going to be on him for 6th.
The 63 is doing a good job as well to reel in Tony Monty. Wasn't a good lap last time through, and because of that, Brian Boris Cook now lurking on the back of that number 92 machine for 4th. So Brian, somebody who started in that 6th spot, he sort of fell back in the early stages. He's done a good job over the course of this one to just trickle himself up to the top of the racetrack, and now he's top of the order, and now he's fighting for top 5 positions here in this last segment.
A lot going on up inside of the top 10, racing out to the end of this thing. Next time by, going to be with 17 laps to go. Not a long way from this point on to the end from the Eldora Speedway. Tyler Hudson's lead has stayed at 0.6 of a second for the last couple of times around. Just as a note, that rate on Q, it goes up to 0.7. So again, Ray is not out of this thing. The only thing I could think is maybe Hudson hits lap traffic. We really saw the 1 struggle with that earlier. And I think that's the only thing you can bank on right now, because if the 01 catches up to some of it, it could be a headache, and 30 laps we've seen is plenty of time to catch up to the back of the field.
The only problem is, though, is that at this stage of the race, you're going to have the lowest amount of lap trucks out there running this deep. All the people who would have ended up not finishing tonight, they're pretty much already down on pit road. Their nights are pretty much done. So it's going to be a more barren racetrack than it was when Malik Ray was leading here. As we saw Malik Ray actually through 1 and 2, he was venturing down to the bottom on this last lap, and he seems to be really struggling on the top side of the racetrack, whereas the 01 machine, Evan, he just looks at home up there.
Yeah, and very comfortable, and we have now seen Hudson move up to the outside. Interesting on this complete charge to the front. He was down on the bottom side of the racetrack, kind of being the instigator at all these battles. And not that the outside is the safe lane by any means. It's only about half a lane up there now, and when you're getting that close to the wall, you're just bound to make any sort of a mistake at some point. Look how close, and there you go. Kisses the fence a little bit in the center of the corner. That kind of contact, nothing that's really going to hurt anybody, but Tyler Hudson is squeezed up to the top now, which is going to make it very difficult for Malik Ray to catch him if they're both running the same line. Keep an eye to see if maybe the guys behind try to search for anything they can find in the late going here. Also funny behind them, Tony Manji was caught up to. And that 2 of Mike Kelly was talking about that fight. Brian Boris Cook has passed them all up and continues to make a late race charge. Now race high P4 for the driver of the 63.
And the 63 showing really, really awesome pace this deep in the race. He's matching the speed of the leaders out in front. Unfortunately, there's a big gap between him and them, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to reel in the likes of Michael Guest or Malik Ray and have anything of it. But the 63 of Brian Boris Cook really done a good job to find something here late.
Right now, 12 trucks total on the lead lap. They're even fighting top to bottom with the, exchanges going on between the likes of Steve Gottschalk and some lap trucks just in the back as well. And at this point, I think you have to have if you're at least realistic with yourself, a relatively good idea of how much speed you actually have in that truck. As you see Kelly continue to work, kind of squished in the middle here between Monty and Sullenberger at the moment. And, you know, for Hudson, I think he's probably a better truck than Malik Ray. Malik Ray, probably a better truck than Michael Guest. They've all got seconds apart, but this mid-pack area still, Monty, Kelly, Sullenberger, and even Brent McBride, not that far back either in P8 at the moment. I think still very evenly matched and go down any which way.
Absolutely right. These 4 trucks are now all scrapping for whatever positions they can get here in this last little stint of running here tonight. And Malik Ray, he slowed down along the inside of the racetrack. What's happened to the one?
One machine, Malik Ray, is slow on the inside of the racetrack. He was running in second position, and I mean, he got the wall, but it doesn't look like damage would be the issue. He's coming down pit road. That truck is not under power. Only thing I can think of.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me as well. So that's maybe that explains why we saw a number of drivers come down pit road, top up a little bit. The one machine chose not to, and he ends up being a number of laps short. He is going to be not a happy camper as that one of Malik Ray.
That is going to insert Michael Guest into P2. It gives Brian Boris Cook another position. He's up to third. Kadimanji is now fourth. Mike Kelly breaking into the top 5. Speaking of which, this time by 5 laps to go from Eldora Speedway. Tyler Hudson that close to going 3 for 3.
5 laps to go. They come under the starter stand right now. So Hudson, he's got a big margin, 2.6 seconds back to the 74 Michael Guest. He's likely going to cruise. Michael also has a big gap to Brian Boris Cook, who's the first one who really has to stress here, because Tony Monge's only about a second back from him. Then you get the likes of Mike Kelly, Travis Sullenberger, and Rick McBride. Those drivers all fighting hard. Austin Green also a part of this. Those drivers all fighting hard, trying to pick up spots. If you're the 92 machine, basically from them on back, that's where you really need to be worried and stressed. Any little mistake is going to cost you a number of positions.
And at this point in the race, you have no opportunities to make those positions back up. So it's almost like at the end of the race when you should be at, you know, the loosest per se, and, drive it as hard as you can. You almost want to make sure you're very careful. That's something that a Tyler Hudson can afford to do with a 4-second advantage. But when you're these guys in the middle of the ongoing battles around 4th and 5th or so, that timidness could probably hurt you a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you're Tyler Hudson, you're going to be a little timid, but you're absolutely right. If you're Tony Monge, Mike Kelly, if you're any of those guys fighting in this mid-pack, trying to get that last top 5 position, you cannot be hesitant whatsoever. You just have to commit to whatever move you want to go for. If you tiptoe a little bit, it's a good way to lose a few spots on a dirt track.
By going to be white flag in the air for the 01 of Tyler Hudson. He got the win to open this series off at Rockingham. Took the win in Indianapolis Raceway Park, and in the most hotly contested one so far to this point, it is going to be the same result at the end of it all. Tyler Hudson off at turn number 4, checkered flag in the win from Eldora.
He just really put on a clinic tonight, didn't he? He wasn't as dominant maybe, but the first couple segments leading all the way through, came down pit road, put himself so far down the order, and then to drive his way from that deep in the field all the way back up to the point and basically dominate this final segment. Well done by the 01 machine.
He will bring it into pit road, and the 01 machine is in pretty good condition, I would say, for surviving a 125-lap exchange at the Eldora Speedway. And I believe, just kind of watching the 01 machine, one of the fun things about this track on iRacing, you can pull it right into victory lane. That's exactly where the 01 is going to park the truck. Let's take a look top to bottom at tonight's full race results for race number 3 of the Joe Gibbs Racing Off-Season Action League. Tyler Hudson is now 3 for 3. He's your winner tonight from the Big E, with Michael Gast coming home in second position, and Brian Boris Cook, digital media head at JGR, with a 3rd place. Great job by him, and so many other drivers did the same thing. Went laps down early, were able to recover. Tony Monge, great result, picks up a lot to go to P4. Mike Kelly, a constant in the top 10 for the second half of this one, comes home at 5th position. Travis Sullenberger ends up P6. Rhett McBride is 7th. Austin Green is going to be scored in P8. Biggest mover is EJ O'Rourke. He ends the night plus 15 in 9th and is the final truck at a lead lap. First driver 1 lap down, P10, is Jose Gonzalez.
Steve Gottschalk, he will finish in that 11th spot. Jason Miller, 12th. Thomas George, 13th. Patrick Colby in 14th. Scott Simley 15th, Pedro Mega 16th, Brian Wortman in 17th, Malik Ray 18th, 19th, Myatt Snyder, 20th will be Joe Hudson, and rounding out the field, Chris Cabot in 21st, Brian Macklin 22nd, Glenn Campbell 23rd, Justin Fuller pole sitter, someone who is so quick early on, got into trouble. He finishes 24th, 84 laps down. Stefan Marinak in 25th, and Joey Gattina, he'll round out your 26 truck field.
Look top to bottom at your full race results tonight from the virtual Eldora Speedway in the Joe Gibbs Racing Off-Season Action iRacing League. Believe we have the opportunity now to go down trackside and chat with the driver of the 01 machine. Going to get Tyler Hudson on the radio here in just a moment. Your race winner tonight from Eldora. Tyler, you got a copy?
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're doing all right, and I would think it's safe to say that you are as well. We'll probably, to be honest, say the same thing this Sunday when we go to the road course and say that this race was, nothing like any of the other ones, but that was definitely true tonight as well. Yes, it's still an oval, but there's virtually no comparisons beside the virtual part of comparing this week back to Indianapolis and Rockingham, and you guys are able to find victory lane once more, up front for a lot of it, but not all the way up front, inside of the top 5, working first, second, third, and fourth, but these guys really made you work for it tonight.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's 3 for 3, but that doesn't tell the story. I mean, none of those wins came easy. It was a hard-fought battle all race long, just like last week. I don't really know what to say. That was chaos. I mean, it was so much fun though. The way the track slicks off like that, the truck really has no grip, and like a lot of those laps towards the end, I don't think I was ever putting the throttle to the floor, and I saw a couple guys run out of gas, and so that was interesting because I was way to the good. So I think a lot of guys were just smoking the tires, burning them off, and they were making time doing that, but I don't necessarily think that's the fastest way to go. So you just gotta, with all that lack of grip, drive it straight, try to keep it out of trouble, and yeah, it all worked out.
Tell us about the decision to come down and pin at that second competition yellow, because at that point you were in a good position, but you didn't lose all that much. Dropped out to about, I think it was about 7th or 8th by the time we restarted this thing, which, I mean, yes, you did have to make those spots back up, but it still very much had you in the battle, as opposed to, getting kicked away out of the top 10 would have.
Well, we had, it was a kind of a group decision there. I was thinking about it, I hit the slick spot going in the turn on one of those laps before we pitted, and I was not expecting it, and got loose, just about wrecked it, and clipped another guy, and from that point on, I felt like the truck was down on power a little bit, which, in these conditions isn't necessarily a bad thing, but just to cover all my bases, I was like, well, there's only 9 cars on the lead lap. Let's go ahead and pit here and see if we can make it back up with half the race to go. So fortunately that worked out too. We were able to come back through there and keep the car clean. I think that was the big key tonight, as a bunch of guys were banking off the wall and running into each other. So yeah, it definitely made it more difficult for sure, but racing with those guys for the lead, it wasn't going to get much easier, so figured go ahead and come in and fix it, and let's go at it with a clean truck.
The trend of mixing things up will continue when we get back to it, and the good news is we don't have to wait another 3 weeks, because we'll be right back at things this coming Sunday from the Lone Road Course. On the calendar from Circuit of the Americas, Eldora is definitely mixing it up, but these trucks belong at a place like Eldora. I think it's such a natural fit, and it's so much fun. You're getting a lot of the guys, not only the rear world guys, but of course a lot of these average Joes and the guys who race with the guys at Sim 500, oval racers specifically, or at least a majority of them. We're going to a road course, and a road course that is very much an F1 style track, home of the United States Grand Prix for Formula One. It's not a place like a Sonoma or a Watkins Glen. So what are you expecting there?
I really have no idea, to be totally honest with you. I've never ran anything on that track other than a GT3 car, and it was very limited at that. So, it's a very interesting track. It's very unique. So we'll see what happens, but I'm hopeful that these guys, I feel very confident in the dirt and the ovals, but I do not feel confident on road courses. So hopefully none of these guys are just super good on the road course, so I can have a shot. Otherwise, we might just be points racing that race. But either way, it's going to be a ton of fun, so I'm looking forward to it.
3 for 3 means you guys will be at the top of the championship standings as we head to this Sunday. We'll let you take off, and it was a hard-fought race, Tyler. Before we do, anybody want to say hi to We Got You?
Yeah, I'd just like to say hi to all my friends on Facebook who are watching the stream. Thanks to Boris and Joe Gibbs Racing for doing this. It's pretty fun. You guys for doing the broadcast. It's pretty cool with sim racers to do this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just, you know, it's almost like we're really racing. So it's really cool. Appreciate you guys.
Race winner tonight from the Eldora Speedway, Tyler Hudson. Tyler, congratulations once more, and best of luck this coming weekend.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good night.
Race winner at Rockingham, Indianapolis, and now Eldora, Tyler Hudson wins tonight from the Big E. Michael gassed somebody else who was in this thing all night long, and at the end he comes home 3 seconds shy of it, Randy, but very much had a couple of shots at the race win tonight. Your trackside with our P2 finisher.
Yeah, I've stood by with Michael. Michael, we've seen you a number of times on RaceSpot here on the dirt, in late models and in sprint cars, and here tonight, a lot larger lap counts from what we're typically seeing. How is it running 125 laps around a track like Eldora as opposed to, say, 40?
Oh, it was a blast. At the beginning of the race, first off, I've never had a truck at Eldora race that's been able to go green that much, so I don't think many people knew like what to expect, and that was such a blast. We were able to use all the lines for the first like 60 laps, and me, Malik, and T-Hud and Fuller were all brawling. It was just a blast. And then at the end of the race, with the wall, it was a very hard, fine line to run at the high side, or else it was about a couple tenths off. But it was definitely a blast and a challenge.
Now, we just spoke with Tyler, and he said he wasn't feeling too confident going into Dakota next week, or well, this coming weekend. In fact, how are you feeling around the road course? We've seen you in the rallycross cars before. You think you can maybe take those skills over to Texas?
That's definitely going to be tough too. I'm not feeling too confident myself, as the Cup car with the new build is definitely a monster on road courses. So we'll definitely see how that goes. I'm going to try my best.
Thanks for joining us, Michael. Congratulations on a strong second-place finish tonight. That 74 machine was relevant all evening. Before we let you go, any shout-outs who'd you like to thank?
Yeah, the Sim 500 guys, you guys for putting this on. Boris, this event is just, this entire series is just a blast to run each week, week in, week out. And my teammate in here, Malik Ray. Sucks for him that he had the fuel issue, but he'll rebound.
Yeah, unfortunate for that one machine indeed. Thanks for joining us again, Michael. Hope to see you run strong in just a few days' time at COTA.
Thanks.
Evan, back over to you. Oh, never mind. I took that wrong. I am stood by as well with the third place finishers, in the 63 of Brian Boris Cook. Brian, it was a hectic race out there tonight. You were up and down the field all evening. How was it to you?
Well, hectic is about the right way to explain it. That was a lot of fun, though. We were able to run the bottom. I actually spun out in the first stage and was able to make it right into pit road. Thankfully, I was in turn 3, and I came out, only lost a lap, got the wave around, caught back up. I think I was 17th, and I cannot believe I made it up to 3rd. That was an intense race.
And now, how was it for you in that deep mid-pack that was so hectic? I mean, most of the two drivers we talked to already, of Michael and Tyler, they spent pretty much the entire race up front dealing with lap traffic occasionally, but you sort of experienced the mid-pack properly. How was it dealing both with faster trucks that are cycling through, people you were racing with, as well as trying to deal with some of the slower guys who were having bad nights when there's not a lot of room out there on this half-mile oval?
Well, it's all those things, then it's the track as well, getting slicker and slicker and changing and rubbering up. And I was almost driving it like an asphalt car at the end. It felt like I saw a lot of guys were kicking it sideways. I saw Hudson up front trying the middle and the bottom groove, but it was pretty intense back there. But I wanted to give a tip of the hat to everyone tonight, because this was outside the box. A lot of these drivers don't run dirt a lot, but you know, there were some wrecks just like any race you'd expect. But running back there, it was just like running up front. I mean, those guys were clean, and it was a lot of fun. It was hard to get around them. The visibility was a big deal, especially in the restarts. You could not see at all in the restarts back there going into turn 1. So that was pretty nerve-wracking. I think I hit the wall about 70 times tonight, but it actually made the truck better, so I'm all for it.
One oddball track for these guys to another. We're going to be taking the Cup cars to COTA here in just a few days' time. What's your predictions for that one?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot like tonight. I think everybody's going to surprise us because we were worried about tonight how people were going to react and be able to handle it. But you know, these average Joes out here that were the majority of the field and the pros, they really stepped it up. I think the same thing's going to happen next week. It's going to be about keeping the vehicle clean and keeping it on track there. The dirt racing, save that for this race. We don't want any of that next week. But I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's really going to be about attrition and pit strategy, I believe.
We shouldn't see too many people in the dirt at COTA. There's a lot of asphalt runoff to work with. But thank you for joining us, Brian. Boris, thank you as well for putting the show on. And congratulations on the big top 3 tonight. Before we let you go, any shout-outs? Who would you like to thank?
I just want to thank all the people watching. I mean, we had almost over 200,000 people watching all 3 of these races so far. We've got 4 more to go, and then one big surprise, a 5th race at Talladega. It's going to be run during the halftime of the big game and the big football game that I can't name due to copyright issues. But we're going to have a fun little race. I don't think anybody's ever done that before. It's at Talladega. Anyone could win. I can't wait for that.
That should be a good one. Thank you, Boris, for joining us. And once again, like I said, thanks for putting all this stuff on. Good luck to you once we go right and left and right here in a few days' time.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the great work you all do with the broadcast.
No problem. Evan, back over to you.
That's a couple of thoughts from your top finishers. Thanks to Tyler Hudson, Michael Gaston, and Brian Boris Cook on their time for chatting with us here post-race. And I completely agree with the thoughts that Boris was just giving you there, Randy, that it is very difficult to race on dirt on the iRacing service. I think it's just difficult to race on dirt in general, and it translates over to the sim definitely. And we did see a couple of guys, even in the top 5, top 10, have issues, but overall, for as hard as these guys were going at it, fantastic racing, all things considered. It was a very fun race to watch.
I mean, it's definitely a hard thing, but you're right. It's really, really fun to watch. One of the great things about running these trucks on dirt is that if you get any little incident on the asphalt tracks, those trucks, you know, typically are doing 130, 140 miles an hour at their slowest. Here tonight, they're only hitting about 110, 115 or so at their fastest point. So because of that, the contacts, even if they look like heavy hits, maybe, you know, they're usually much less severe from what we typically see. And because of that, people were able to really lean on each other, and people could make mistakes and they could bounce back from them, which we saw all night tonight. So that's why I think tonight was such an awesome show and so fun to watch.
And of course, as we mentioned, we don't have another 3-week off break. We get right back at it in just about 4 or 5 days' time on Sunday. And we will head to Circuit of the Americas, which is, again, a completely different kind of track. It's a road course, but it's a very different kind of road course as well. And it's one that I have raced on a couple of times with the iRacing service and can't seem to get down, so I'm looking forward to these guys to show to me how it's done. But that'll be fun because it is the lone road course event on the season, so maybe if someone out there's tired of seeing Tyler Hudson get the win, maybe next week's their opportunity.
Yeah, because Circuit of the Americas, it's going to be one of those curveball tracks, isn't it? And there's a few of them up and down the schedule, which is so amazing to see because it is such a short schedule. You know, there's a lot of variants, super awesome, and Circuit of the Americas. It's a longer race too, which is going to be interesting. Tonight was pretty quick. Race time coming in at under an hour, and going out at COTA, we're talking about 40 laps around that place. That's going to be a long run for all these guys coming in from tonight.
Again, this season still has a little bit over halfway to go, so we hope that you join us for the rest of this season right here on the Joe Gibbs Racing Facebook page. Until next time, though, on behalf of our entire team at RaceSpotTV, for Hugo Louise, Will Vincent, myself, Evan Pasoko, and of course for Randy Cheneth as well as our partners at Sim 500 Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing for making all of this possible. We want to thank you for tuning in, and of course congratulate our race winner, Tyler Hudson. You can stay up to date with everything Joe Gibbs Racing on Twitter at Joe Gibbs Racing, and right here on Facebook at facebook.com/Joe Gibbs Racing. We will be live next Sunday. We're going to be right back at it this coming Sunday, January the 3rd. It is our first and only road course race of the season from the home of the U.S. Grand Prix, Circuit of the Americas. That race and every race of this Joe Gibbs Racing off-season action series can be seen right here on the Joe Gibbs Racing Facebook page at RaceSpotTV. Until next time, good night.